I might go. Come by. No.
Did we say from now on, we need to do 6 or 6:30? Did we change that?
We didn't really change it. Mainly because of
Please.
Roy's trying to chime in from a remote location somewhere in the woods.
Who is?
I mean, I think that place would be 6:30.
Where's he at?
I know.
I'm in the green hayfield. Green hayfield.
Oh, hi,
At least
Roy.
it's green and not dry.
Coming from an undisclosed location.
Richland, Oregon.
For something fun or?
Richland, did he say?
Is that Roy?
Yeah.
I didn't know him.
Showering firefighters.
That's what I was wondering if it was for firefighting.
Hand wash dishes and hauling potable water. That'd be great.
Nice.
And we shower them with.
Thank you for your service.
Can you make him louder?
Does that make
And I'm gonna mute it too, so you can't hear the background noise of the truck backing up.
We can't hear that. We're just having a hard time hearing you.
Well, that's never been a problem.
Yeah.
Sit closer to the phone.
You can say that.
Okay, we're ready. All right, it's 6 o'clock. The meeting of the Willamina School Board is now called to order. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry. You still with us, Roy? He said he was good.
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Thank you. We have a quorum.
Is that better?
That is wonderful. Thank you, Roy.
Sure.
All right.
Alrighty, first up on our agenda. Nothing under Board of Education, so we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
The motion to approve the consent agenda as presented has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments for board discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed signify
Aye.
Forgot about him. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion is passed. He's here. Next on our agenda is our superintendent's report.
Yeah. So we've been spending a lot of time together, it seems like over the last month, and so that's good. Things are settling in and doing really well. But we're kind of gearing up, as you can kind of see. And I did add a few things since the packet went out, just because I didn't want to lose them. But I've been meeting with principals and APs, really kind of getting to know them, understanding their passion for the work in education, which is one of the tougher jobs in the world these days. And really just kind of figuring out what their needs are and how I can support them as we move into the school year. Been meeting with our directors. We're kind of in our final hiring and staffing. You know, it seems like every time we think we're there, we get a wild card, and we continue to do that. We got registration coming up. We had kindergarten start today. You know, we were pleasantly surprised with our kinder numbers. We're at 43, and they seem to keep coming. So, you know, we will most likely need a third kinder teacher. So we started working on possibilities of what that could look like today as well. But a good group of class, I think I figured out they're like class of 2037. I was like, wow, that makes me feel really old. But yeah, I got to eat a little bit of lunch with those guys and hang out a little bit with them in their rooms, and As I described it, my job to them is I'm like the principal of the principals. So they could kind of wrap their heads around that. Each of our administrators will be working on that book that I showed you the other night, that 100-Day Leader book, and we'll work on that throughout the fall just to kind of get some systems and formats going. The middle school furniture, fixtures, and equipment is all in there and ready to go. And shout out to our maintenance people for 11th hour putting boards up, and I saw a big stack of whiteboards disappear, so that means they must have gone in the rooms.
They didn't hang it yet, but they will be tomorrow.
Yeah, and we're kind of gearing up for that opening day with our staff, and would love and welcome you all to attend. If we have more than 3, we'll go ahead and post it just so we're safe. But if you want to come and have a lunch and hear what I have to say to staff on that opening day, that'll be at 11 on a week from tomorrow in the cafeteria. And then we worked hard on those goals and data we'll talk a little bit about. Been working on the Oregon Data Suite. This is something new that I wasn't familiar with. Got trained on last week in some of that training, which really allows us to look at some of our key performance indicators. And so as we think about kind of going to that growth mindset we talked about the other night, I'll be working with principals and then bringing back to you all some of those key things we want to track. And so, we are working hard to get into. I'm working hard to get into that, to be the most familiar with it, so that when we make some choices around what we're going to monitor, that aligns with those goals, that it all kind of dovetails together and makes sense. One of the things that we'll need to be working on is we are supposed to have under Senate Bill 732 an Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Committee in our district this year. So I'll be working with principals on what that looks like, and maybe circle back to Carrie, because that's one of the things that she and I did not discuss. And so I know that she may have had some thoughts around that. I told her I'd give her like a month, and then I'd have my whole list of Carrie questions. Okay, what is this really doing? But one of the things to know is the board will need to finalize the membership and its teachers and community and different things like that once we have our applicants in that. Working on our Division 22 compliance work. You have a sample of what that looked like last year in your packet. It's that account report to the community. So we'll be modifying that for this year once we get our school year going, but I'll get that in front of you before that goes out to the public. So you can put eyes on that. And then really just trying to understand our programming through our principals' conversations, and sharing with them our results from last spring so we can kind of plan together. One of the things around the Division 22 work is I could go in and make up a bunch of stuff, but it's really not the way I want to do it. I want it to be meaningful and kind of aligned with where we're going in the future. And I needed some input on that we just have been going great guns, getting doors open and things. So we are starting. We're going to be in great shape. In spirit of the Olympics, I grabbed that thing. Any quick comments on the Division 22 stuff? I mean, it's really pretty standard boilerplate stuff. We'll go through, update it in those processes, but I'll take each component and work through that with principals and make sure that we have it up to date and correct with our current programming. So from our goal work the other night, you were presented with kind of my thoughts and themes of where the goal pieces would go around student achievement, staff performance, community relations, and business and operations. And then out of that work, we worked as a board and superintendent. These were the 5 goals, and then kind of the subletter under it was kind of the target goal of, so in attendance, we want to improve that no less than 5%. And we want to cultivate staff relations to focus on student growth. And I shared that I typically do a survey in November, so staff will have a chance to give me some honest input. And typically they aren't too shy. And I do share all that information back out, so it's not just information that goes into a vacuum. I like to share it out so everybody can see where and how I'm doing well and where I can grow. As I shared the other night, I think it's unfair to teachers to continually provide them feedback, and as building leaders and administration, not to accept some feedback and input coming back the other way. So we're not above growing ourselves. Our student achievement, we also kind of shared the accountability, ESSA accountability details report. And so we have some declining growth measures, and we want to get all those arrows going up the right direction. And that's coming out of COVID. I think everybody, is like, well, we're coming out of this weird time in the world. Well, everybody went through that weird time. So I always like to be better than everybody else. So we'll work hard on that and create buy-in and implementation of our new student data system. And we have a lot of training going on around that. I sat in on a couple of those meetings today, and I feel cautiously optimistic that we'll get that off the ground. But our building level secretaries and Brent are doing a good job of really getting after that. And then the bond measure work, we'll get that going on. We've gotten some construction stuff going on the other end of the world around the parking lot stuff, the concession stand pavilion. Still working to connect with the town. So I'll go to their meeting tomorrow night and be big in the back row, I guess, and introduce myself. So hopefully we can get some of that stuff going as well. But then we also will start to move into our RFP process for the bond stuff we just passed, so we can work through this year. And I'll be curious to see how soon we can get that stuff started. I'm coming from a place where you kind of don't pour concrete after October, November, but here you got better advantages with the weather, other than it gets wet, but you don't get the cold temperatures and freezing stuff. So Craig was looking at me kind of weird when I asked him, when do you guys quit paving out here? And he's like, well, we can pave as long as it's not raining. I'm like, I quit paving about October in Colorado, so be good. And then my final thoughts is, as I've kind of watched, and this was kind of lensed through the results that we have going right now. People have been working hard, and it's not like I'm coming to a place where people aren't passionate and people aren't working hard. They're extremely passionate for kids and working hard. And we will continue to revise the system to make it more productive, so people feel like they're really gaining some traction with our student achievement and things like that. I'm a big relationships person, so we'll be working hard on that here in the first couple months. We'll take time to celebrate our wins, and we'll learn from our failures. And we want to grow our teacher talent and give them the skills to deal with the students that we're currently working with, and really feed that passion they have, and engaging kind of simultaneously our community, and have them trust our system, which I think when you get 40 plus kindergartners showing up, people are liking what we're doing here. So we got to make good on that, because people are putting their most precious asset with us, and we need to do that. And then one of the things that I keep reminding myself is we get to do this work. It's not many people that get to influence young people the way we do as educators, and it comes with a lot of responsibility, but it also gets me out of bed every morning to do this. Is we get a shot at that, and I don't take that lightly. Any questions or thoughts? All right.
No, thank you, Mike. Alrighty, next up on our agenda is audience time. Now it's time for audience input. Is there anything from the audience that they feel needs to come before the board that is not currently on our agenda? There's a lot of people, sure y'all don't have anything?
We just gotta see it.
Yeah, we just want to say hi.
Thank you. Next on our agenda, RFP Food Service Extension Awards for 2024, 2025.
These are our annual approval of our extensions of our bids. They're 5-year extensions. Those will be the last year on most of them. Our bread and milk bids, we are part of a group bid, so we will go out for bid again next year. We're in with McMinnville, Tiger, Tualatin, Mount Angel, Jervis, a whole bunch of people. Anyway, so this will be the last year on that. Our Cisco bid, it is rolling over as well, but that doesn't expire until 2027, so that will be a little bit down the road. I did find out that because of the micro procurement, because we don't spend as much money on these bids, we don't actually need official approval to roll them over like we've been doing the last few years. But, you know, we crossed our T's and dotted our I's, so that's a good thing. But wanted to make you aware that we were rolling them over. Also wanted to give you a brief update on nutrition services while I was here, while I had the floor. Last year we served 69,537 breakfasts. We served 73,839 lunches. Our summer lunch program just ended. For summer lunch, we did 1,816 breakfasts and 2,053 lunches, which is up from last year. Last year we did 1,023 lunches only. We didn't do breakfast last year. This year we were able to do grab and go. And that's under the rural non-congregate feeding, so that it was kind of like when we did with COVID. We gave bags of breakfast and lunch out. Also wanted to let you know that we had our spring farmers market last year in May, and we get to have a harvest market this year from our farm to school grants. We're going to have that in October. We've already got more vendors lined up. I just announced it yesterday, and we already have more vendors lined up than we did last year for that. We also are getting our first delivery of local produce. Mama T's from over there, like across from Blackwell Park. They delivered our first bunch of tomatoes and cucumbers today. So we'll have those on the menus for kindergarten this week. And hopefully we'll be able to have some at the beginning of school too. She says she's got lots of tomatoes coming on now and lots of cucumbers. So that's about it. Oh, we're also celebrating our 10th year of CEP. That's where the community eligibility provision, where all the kids get to eat for no price. So basically 83% of our kids of their school career in Willamina have had free meals the whole time that they've been here. Wow. So we're hoping to continue that. We have been approved for the next 4 years, so we'll,
Nice.
and hopefully there'll be some bills in the legislature that'll make all of the schools be able to do that soon.
That is wonderful. Wow, it's going to be a short one today. No decision items. Last up on our agenda, future board meeting at Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde.
Yeah, so one of our requirements is through impact aid, and just in general, it's a good practice that we try to have our board meetings at other locations that make it more available to people, especially in a community as ours, where we have so many members out there in Grand Ronde. So we're going to work with the tribe on setting that meeting, one of our board meetings up. It'll still be the same date, possibly. I don't think we see that moving, but we'll probably try to do that. I got to coordinate with Angie and the education department out there, but either November, December, or January, because that's the heaviest months for impact aid, and I'll need to be making some reports on that to make that public information for the tribe. So if there's a preference for you guys, if that doesn't matter, just kind of let me know. We'll be, like I said, I'll be working with them and trying to figure out what will be the best month to get that done.
Cool. All right. There being nothing further on the agenda to discuss, the meeting of the Willamina School Board is hereby adjourned. It's probably been the quickest one yet.
See you, Roy.
We'll see you later, Roy.